Welcome to training for a coastal marathon, week 7. This is Runman Dan. Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday and we're on a short 12-kilometre base run. So slightly different week this week. I've been away with my wife for 4 days in Ibiza. Today's Sunday. I got back from Ibiza Thursday night and it's my first run since then. It's a bit of a drop down week this week. Sort of rest and recharge the batteries, although it didn't really end up being like that. We went to see Craig David at the Ibiza Rocks Hotel and it was not quiet and it was not relaxing, but we ended up changing hotels, so the last 2 days was a bit quieter. So we'll talk a bit more about that next week, of course, what the training looked like this week. But for now, I'm staying local, doing a short 12k base run just to keep things ticking over. Okay, let's talk about last week's training then, which was the 6th week of training, and we really did step it up last week. Monday was a rest day as usual. Tuesday was that 32-kilometre run on the South Downs Way, almost 20 miles. It was a big milestone because it's the furthest I've ever gone so far. Wednesday after that I did a 1 hour recovery run and I got 9.8 kilometres from that. Thursday I did a 1 hour base run with some strides at the end of that run just to let the legs go a bit. I got 10 kilometres from that. Friday was my usual strength and conditioning session, and then again the youngest wanted to go out, so I did 2.5k with him. Saturday was a rest day. Sunday was a 50-minute progressive run with a 10-minute cool down, and I got 10.6 kilometres from that. Now the progressive run, if those of you are not sure, I started at a certain pace for 10 minutes and then I upped that pace slightly every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes I was going faster, and then I went back down again to the original pace for the cool down at the end. So that was the week. It was 64.55 kilometres for the week and 915 metres of elevation gain. A really solid week, and we came through it unscathed. That's the thing, that is the key. However, we were slightly down on our 80-20 target, and last week was 84-16. That will undoubtedly be because of the 32-kilometre long run, and I didn't really go further on the interval run. So, but that's fine. We're still in the ballpark that we want. We don't want to go lower than 15, and we don't want to go higher than 25 on the other side. So we're still within that range, which is great. So about 4k into this base run, really nice and gentle today, just recovering from the week really. I'll get more into that later, and we will talk as well about a question from a follower who asked about how the training is planned by my coach, who's of course also my wife. So we'll go through that, how it's planned week by week and how she does things. But we're going to break the back of this base run first and start heading for home. Oh, love a Sunday run, nice and quiet. Okay, so we've just clicked over 9k, and I am tired. I am tired this week. It's been a long week. So my wife and I went to Ibiza for 4 days, Monday to Thursday, to see Craig David, and it really was the first night a nightmare. So obviously after a long half day of travel to get there, we're staying at the Ibiza Rocks Hotel. Now obviously it's a party hotel, we know this, but no one slept. So the first night, all the way through the night, there was people coming and going, shouting, music going on, doors slamming, people puking outside our room at 4:15 in the morning. We had about 2 hours sleep. Obviously we're quite old, so we just decided to book another hotel for the other 2 nights. But we're on catch up all week after that. Now I did manage to run a couple of times whilst over there, and Craig David was brilliant. And then on the way home on Thursday, we were delayed, sat on the plane for 1 hour and 45 minutes before we even took off. There's something about travelling, even though you sat down most of the time, you get exhausted from it. Must be a mental thing. Anyway, so this week has been tiring. How is my training planned? We're going to talk a little bit about that. So, of course, there is a 16-week plan, a general 16-week plan, which my wife knows roughly how it's going to go. However, that is tailored every week depending on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling too tired, she'll scale things back a bit. If I found it too easy, she'll make it harder the next week. If the long run was too long, next week it'll be a bit shorter, and so on and so forth. It's all to do with, she likes to use perceived effort. So out of 10, I should run at perceived effort 2 or 3 for long runs, 7 or 8 for interval runs. And obviously the thing with that is, as you get fitter, your perceived effort changes. So it's a very, very adaptive plan. It evolves a lot, put it that way. So for instance, I'll get back today and I will tell her that I am tired from this week. Now, I do have a 15-mile run plan for Tuesday. She might keep it like that and say, take it easier. She might shorten it. And then the rest of the week will be built around that. The interval session might be harder or easier, again, depending on how I'm feeling. So yes, whilst there is a whole 16-week plan, things change very much all the time. Of course, the week just gone was difficult because we were away. We just run when we could, really, because obviously she's running as well. She's going to be starting training for the Boston Marathon in the winter, so she's got to get ready for that. And then of course, once I've done the Beachy Head Marathon, we have to keep things ticking over. So again, it will likely be even more adaptive after that, until we know exactly what we're doing next year and new training blocks will start again. It'll be very much about keeping things ticking over during that time. And of course, if you've got any other questions about training and training blocks and training plans, I'm sure she'll be more than happy to help. And when it comes to the individual sessions themselves, she's obviously got a huge backlog of sessions that she's created in the past that she can go back to, but the one thing about her is she's very intuitive with the athletes she's working with, and she can come up with something really quickly which will benefit them. I've never seen anything like it in terms of how quickly she can adapt to situations. It's actually really impressive. So yes, any athlete to have her as a coach would be very, very lucky. Of course, things happen as well, like injuries and things like that, which again she would roll with quite well. So yeah, things are going very well with having my wife as a coach, or as my coach. I was a bit apprehensive because obviously we might not agree on things, and because we're married, we're more likely to air those disagreements, but so far it's been absolutely fine. I can't argue anything she says. She's the expert after all, I'm just the runner. All I can tell her is how I'm feeling. And at some point we are going to run together. We're thinking of doing, there's an endurance race in Reading next year. We're thinking of running that together. So that should be good fun. We've got about 1.5k to go before we've got this base run done, and that will be the end of a very tiring week, despite having run the least amount for about 6-7 weeks. But it's another week chalked off all the same, and we'll talk about this training week next week, exactly what I did in Ibiza. Right, let's get this one done. Okay, that is 12 kilometers done in 1 hour 15 minutes. Legs are definitely feeling it this week, despite it being a short week. Just the lack of sleep, and I have been drinking a little bit of alcohol, it must be said, and it definitely affects you. But we're good now. We're good now for next week. We'll go fresh into a new week tomorrow, and again the mileage will start to ramp up again from then. So thanks very much everyone for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button too, and I'll see you next week for another Training with a Coastal Marathon week. Cheers, bye bye.